Hello and welcome back to the Bourbon Bar. I'm Holden and today I'm going to be giving you guys a list of the only 5 whiskeys you need in your home bar. Now, this is a trend that happened a lot last year and I watched a lot of the videos and I thoroughly enjoyed a lot of them. I kind of forgot that it happened and then I made a YouTube channel and I saw a bunch of other YouTube channels making a new list for their 2022 year. And while I didn't get nominated, I decided screw it because I don't need to get nominated. I thought it was a fun idea and so now I'm going to do it and you guys can do it too. So that being said, we're gonna get right into this video, starting with number 1 on the list, your everyday drinker. And if this wasn't obvious, I don't know what is, because my everyday drinker is Brothers Bond Bourbon. The reason I'm choosing Brothers Bond Bourbon for my everyday drinker is just because it's a little bit higher of a quality whiskey compared to, your cheap stuff. But it's not also expensive, it's right around the $40, the $35, $40 mark. It's great whiskey and it definitely has enough complexity where I can think about it a little bit, but it also falls directly onto my palate and directly in line with my palate. It's really wonderful and honestly one of my favorites ever. Obviously I marked it as my number 1 whiskey of 2021, which you guys can see the video for that up in the corner, but it's honestly just great whiskey and I love drinking it, which is why my everyday drinker is Brothers Bond Bourbon. Number 2 on this list is a whiskey to impress your guest. This is going to be something that you guys are genuinely proud of owning and something that you can rub in your friend's face a little bit just to show them that you're a real whiskey enthusiast and you really know your stuff about whiskey. It's going to be something that they're going to see it and their eyes are going to light up because they know they're about to try it, but also something that, you wouldn't give them more than a single pour of. That whiskey for me is going to be none other than Colonel E.H. Taylor Single Barrel. Now, the reason I am choosing this is, 1, it comes in this sick-ass tube, but more importantly, it's incredibly hard to find nowadays. The fact that almost all Buffalo Trace products are heavily allocated nowadays, it's increasingly hard to find these, and everyone who knows anything about whiskey knows that Buffalo Trace is a huge name. And as soon as they start digging into Buffalo Trace, they find E.H. Taylor among one of the many bottles that they should get their hands on. And me having this bottle, they're going to be thinking that it costs about $250 on secondary, for anyone who would pay that, which I never would. But they're going to think that I did, and that's why I have the bottle. But they're going to be excited to drink it, and I'm going to be able to drink it too, and, it's not a terrible pour, so I'm going to basically be able to tell them the whole story about Colonel E.H. Taylor, the whole Bottled and Bond Act, everything that happened with it, and they're going to be educated. It's a good conversation piece, and they're going to be impressed with my awesome collection and the fact that I have this bottle on the shelf. The third thing on this list, which every person needs in their home bar, is a cheap mixer. Something that you can mix into your cocktails and it has enough character to shine through the cocktail, but at the same time you're not paying an arm and a leg to drain this whiskey. And honestly, in Wisconsin, most people just mix Kesslers in all of their drinks, which that's if they're not whiskey drinkers. But us whiskey drinkers, we need to have something a little better than a $15 bottle of Kesslers. And my solution to that problem is none other than Elijah Craig Small Batch. Now, I chose Elijah Craig Small Batch for this because I honestly love the way this tastes. The palate is right on key with my palate. This whiskey is also what my local bar uses in their barrel-aged old fashions, and that's when I first fell in love with the fact of putting Elijah Craig in mixed drinks. Now, I have put it in many other mixed drinks in my lifetime, but it definitely stands out in old fashions, which is honestly one of the most popular whiskey cocktails of all time, if not the most popular. So Elijah Craig is definitely the cheap mixer, coming in around $20 to $23 a bottle. This is a super cheap pour, but it also brings enough character and oakiness and fruitiness to every cocktail that you're going to make, and it's honestly delicious even if you drink it neat. Fourth on this list is your Friday pour. It's something that you look forward to drinking every Friday while you're at work and you're fantasizing about getting home, cracking open a bottle and pouring yourself a dram of it. And it's one of the most important whiskeys on the shelf, because honestly, you might not drink whiskey every single day, but I bet that every single Friday you're gonna be reaching toward a glass of whiskey, because you need a little bit something to get the edge off of after a long week. It's a perfect way to wind down or celebrate with your friends the fact that the weekend is starting. But I didn't want to hop on that trend, so instead I hopped on something very close, which wasn't it, and that is Larceny Barrel Proof. Now, the reason I'm choosing Larceny Barrel Proof is because I first got my hands on this bottle not too long ago, but man, is it fantastic. I love this whiskey, and honestly, I would love to drink it every single Friday. And on the days that I do pour whiskey, I usually pour my Larceny Barrel Proof. Don't get me wrong, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is a wonderful pour, and I do pour that on some Fridays as well. But if I was choosing between which one I prefer over the other one, is this particular batch, which is C921 of Larceny Barrel Proof, which is a wonderful root beer, cream soda notes, and a little bit of tobacco and caramel sweetness. It's fantastic, and I love this whiskey, so that's what I would be pouring on my Friday after work. So let me know in the comments what you guys have for your favorite Friday whiskey, and let's get into the last one here. Last but not least on this list is your special occasion whiskey. Now, this can be very different for everyone, especially when you have a huge collection with a lot of different fancy bottles, and you know you're reaching for that $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 bottle on the shelf, because you know it's a celebration and it's what you want. Unfortunately for me, I don't have my hands on the Pappies, Wellers, and Stags of the world, but I do have one in particular bottle that, with the presentation, the price point, which is a little bit overpriced, but the whole essence and how much I enjoy this whiskey, it's a no-brainer for me, and that would be Booker's, especially this batch, No Strangers, 2021-04, which is what this one is. And honestly, I thoroughly enjoy Booker's. This batch in particular is wonderful, very like chocolate peanut buttery with a little bit of red fruit in it, which, you know, it's a common note for Booker's, but it is fantastic. And this box that it comes in honestly just makes me feel so special every time I drink it. It's like pulling it out of the box and looking at it and reading the little card in there. It's just kind of like a wonderful way to experience whiskey, and especially if you're having this with someone else who doesn't drink whiskey as often as you, the mouthfeel of this whiskey, even if that person doesn't know how to pick out notes and they don't know exactly everything about whiskey, they're gonna drink this and it's gonna hit their tongue and they're gonna realize this is some higher end, nicer shit, you know what I mean? And honestly, I personally love this. If I was gonna pop a celebration whiskey, you know, if I had a baby tomorrow or got married, you know, I would be drinking this tomorrow. But it's probably not gonna happen anytime too soon, and I have a good feeling I'm gonna get a little bit more expensive and rare bottles by that point. However, if ever it's just small victories, you know, something as simple as getting a new apartment or getting a new car or something along those lines, something you want to have a nice pour and feel a little bit extra special that day, this is the one I'm going to grab because I like it and it's phenomenal. That being said, this is the end of the video. If you guys liked it, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you haven't checked out my Patreon yet, the link will be down in the description, along with my Instagram handle. Go follow me there, and if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a comment, let me know your list, and I'll see you in the next glass.